Hi, I'm Nicola Humber, founder of the Unbound Press and the Unbound Writing Mastermind. And today I'm joined by Angie Northwood. So, hey, Angie.
Hi.
Good to have you here. So, Angie is a spiritual mentor and she's also an energy healer. She's based in magical Wales. And I actually first met Angie when I was doing some training with Miranda Gray, doing her womb blessing, moon mother training, and I stayed at Angie's gorgeous gorgeous place in Wales. It's like a little how would you describe it? I was going to say retreat centre, but it's not a retreat centre at all, is it?
No.
Like a retreat.
Well, a place of healing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Really is really magical.
Yeah.
And we've stayed in touch kind of online over the years.
Yes.
It's been quite a few years since we first met,
Yeah.
and then have connected more deeply recently around Angie's writing. So I wanted to have this chat with her, conversation with her about that today, because I find women's processes around writing so very fascinating, and kind of the unique quality of that, but also the themes that come through, which we can all resonate with. So yeah, good to have you with me here today, Angie.
Good to be here. Thank you for asking me.
You're welcome. So tell us a bit more about your writing and where you are with your writing now, Angie.
Okay. Well, I suppose start by saying that how I found myself actually being in the action of writing is that April of last year, I enrolled on a soul realignment practitioner training course. And through that process, I'm now certified. That's part of the work that I do. And through that process, I did my own reading, and I discovered that my divinity, the essence of who I am, is all about communication through the written and spoken word. And it was a real oh, yes, okay, yes, that makes sense. And with that came a confidence, an affirmation, really, that the book I've been thinking about writing for many, many years fell into place. And then as these beautiful weavings take place, your 5-day Unbound writing challenge came up on Facebook, and it's like, yes, I'm going to do this. And it was fantastic. It was so supportive. It really empowered me to come into that place where I am now writing my book. The processes that you offer and the holding in those processes that you offer just fitted with me perfectly. So where I am with it right now is I'm writing in an unbound way, which is just so amazing. I was writing on my own Facebook page, I think yesterday, saying I feel so potent and alive at the moment from creating in this unbound way. It's pressures that were there that I put on myself before are just dropping away. And so if I have a day where I don't feel the creativity, and that is very much in alignment with my cycle, and the moon and what's going on outside, then I don't write, and I don't beat myself up like, oh, I haven't written anything today. And then that changes, my energy changes, and I'll have days where I just spend all day thinking about it or getting it down, or whatever it is. So that's where I am.
Fantastic. So really giving yourself permission to follow that and the ebbs and flows of your creative energy.
Yes.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, it feels beautiful. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I'm actually, something just came up when you were speaking about, kind of going through the soul, is it realignment or alignment?
Yeah.
Realignment. And the reading and having that kind of awareness that you are here to share your divinity through writing and speaking. And I was speaking to Jackie yesterday, who actually we were just we mentioned before we came on the recording. She's
Right.
not Remember
Yes.
the Mastermind,
Yes.
and she mentioned that I think she had an Akashic records reading, and it was all about kind of writing a book. And I know that before I wrote my first book, I had a reading, and that's how I had that kind of knowing.
Yes.
I always knew that I was, that I wanted to write a book and I was a writer, but somehow having that reading just made me think, yes, now I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that each of us have come to it in that way.
Yeah. And for me, it was that real, just deeper connection to my soul, and really acknowledging that.
Yes. Yeah.
And for me, that was that kind of followed the same thread, if you like, when I started my womb work. It wasn't until I entered that moon work with Miranda Gray as a moon mother and really started to make that much deeper connection to my womb that it wasn't until I did that I was able to recognize myself, know myself as a cyclical creature, cyclical being. And that, as you know, makes such a phenomenal difference in how we are in the world, how we are with ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like this process of remembering, isn't it? Remembering who we are.
Yes.
And I think, when we have like a reading like that, or we come into contact with someone else's work who resonates so deeply, it reminds us of something about ourselves and what we're here to do. Interesting. So tell us some more about your book, Angie. What's your book about?
Okay. So it is about my experience as a mother of a disabled child, and how that has really empowered and enabled me to step on a path of transformation of myself. Molly that's my daughter, is an incredible teacher. Her gift actually is also communication in a very different way to what you and I are doing now in this moment. And she has just given me so many gifts. She gives so many gifts, and I want to celebrate that, because what happens far too often is that disabled people are sidelined, ignored, dehumanized, discriminated against. There's oppression, disableism. I don't think most people even think that there is an ism attached to being disabled. Well, there is. I can tell you there absolutely is. And as a parent of a disabled child, I am in that midst, or have been in that quagmire of discrimination and oppression, and it was deeply painful and deeply destructive, and I want to share that, and most importantly, the celebration. I want to share the beauty and the wonder and the gift of all children, and that I really want to shift people's consciousness and attitudes and behaviour. So for most people still, they do not experience a world of disability of themselves or others. A lot of people do, but largely speaking, people don't. And there is so much attached to that, which is what's going to be in my book. And I really want, the person who works in the supermarket, the businesswoman, the politician, the teachers, the parents, the friends of the parents, everybody. I want everybody to hear this message that my child is amazing. And my child is every child. That's the point. We are all in this together, and it's about connecting to the love and the compassion that we all have as human beings. But so often that for all of the things that happen in the world, we are cut off from, and we lose the ability to express ourselves from a place of love and compassion.
Mm.
And, you know, that's not just going to benefit Molly or me, it's going to benefit you. It benefits everybody.
Exactly.
And that's the point about, I talk a lot about inclusive practice in the book, you know, and what that, how it benefits everybody.
Yeah. Because we've spoken, haven't we? I know when we first spoke, you know, this book is very much not just for parents of disabled children at all. You know, it really is about kind of sharing your experience and your story, and through that, you know, like you say, changing the perception of everybody, and that's that beautiful sense of connection that comes through and what you're talking about. It's just so powerful.
It's about belonging, it's about community, it's about, you know, we all want to belong, we all want to feel that we are a part of a community, of a tribe, you know, have what you like to describe it, of being valued.
Yeah, absolutely. So what have been the challenges kind of so far that you've experienced around writing about this? You know, this is very, our work is always personal, but, you know, this is very much based on your personal experience. So what challenges have you?
Well, interestingly, before I did the 5-day challenge, it was, so part of it was about, how am I going to find the time to do this? How can I fit this into everything else that I do?
Yeah.
And it was also about, I'm going to, you know, I am recalling and revisiting moments that were incredibly painful at the time. But I'm writing it now because I've done so much healing over the years, and particularly since I've been here in Wales. That's why I came here, really. So, you know, there was that concern, worry. Oh, am I going to be, you know, putting myself into a place of depression again, which I'm absolutely not. In fact, it's the reverse. You know, as I said earlier on, you know, the potency and the aliveness is amazing. And then a really big thing, which is one of the things that, you know, I have been working with again over many years, is that feeling of, am I worthy of writing this? Who am I to think that I've got something of interest for other people to say? You know, why do I think I can do that? So really, you know, working with that one in the face and saying, yeah, I am. I do have something incredible to say, important to say, and really believing that, really owning that, and that is what that 5-day challenge really helped me to shift into that place, going, yes,
exactly.
Yeah. Even with all that vulnerability, I mean, I know we've spoken before about that, and again, vulnerability is one of the things that I've been working with, and of course, you know, I'm vulnerable in doing this, because not everybody is going to receive it in the way that it's being offered. You know, I know that from my experience of being an inclusion warrior for all those years. Some people just at best. You know?
Exactly.
So it's also being with that and feeling okay about feeling that, and going, yeah, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
And interestingly, something that I did experience the other night, I asked my partner Rob if he'd like to hear a bit of what I've written. You know, I felt in a place where I really wanted to do that, and he was, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I started to read to him, and it was really interesting that the pieces that I'd written and had recalled and remembered, which had been very painful and damaging, I'd written it without that, you know, emotional recall in expressing it in that way. But when I was reading it to him, it was so different. You know, there were moments where I just had to stop and allow myself to wow, there it is. There it is.
Mm.
And that felt so good, because the passion, the reality of that, the passion of that, the deepness of that is what I want the readers to feel.
Absolutely.
So that was a great experience to have.
Oh, how
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
Really beautiful. Oh, yeah. And
yeah,
there's so many challenges there. Like, I was kind of laughing when you said about the who am I to do this, that question, because it comes up for all of us, for everyone, and it continues to come up. And as you said, it's really about
yeah,
kind of, you know, really facing that and going, yes, yeah, I am exactly the right person to be
yeah,
doing this, and my story does have value. And so much of what you've talked about there, it's really allowing yourself to be with what's coming up, rather than going, oh, I shouldn't be doing this because all of
yeah.
this stuff's coming up. It's like, no,
Mm,
it's really
mm,
powerful that
yes.
this is coming up.
Yeah.
So, Angie, obviously you've made the decision to join the 2019 round of the Unbound Writing Mastermind. And we've started some work around that already, kind of
Mm.
one-to-one. We did a session, but what was it that kind of attracted you about the idea of the mastermind? What inspired you to join us?
Well, having done the 5-day challenge, and
Mm-hmm.
really, as I said, boom, there I was doing the writing, and I had already felt, prior to that, I had been feeling that I wanted to be a part of a women's community again, um, to feel held, to be nurtured, to be nourished, because I do so much of that in the work that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, I have learnt that if I don't receive that back, if there's not an equal and even exchange of that,
Yeah.
depletion happens, and that's no good for me, that's no good for anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So so after the 5-day challenge, knowing that this was on offer,
Mm-hmm.
and the experience that I'd had in the 5-day challenge, where I did feel very held, I did feel nurtured, I did feel nourished, it was it was just like, why wouldn't I do this? Why wouldn't I? So, and the excitement of having the woman that you are, the unbound woman that you are, to guide me through this process, to mentor this process, and it felt right. It felt, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Soul womb was going, yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh, that's great. That's
yeah,
great. Thank you. And I'm so excited to see kind of what emerges throughout the 6-month process. It feels so
yeah,
spacious. And
yeah,
with the when a group of women come together, yes, we've got that feeling of being nurtured and held within the circle, within the group, but also that kind of alchemical aspect where
the
everyone
magic.
interacts. Absolutely, that just is so
Yes.
exciting. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So glad you're part of it, Angie. So tell us how we can find out more about your work and what you do. What are the best ways for people to do that?
So there's the Spirals of Wellbeing website,
Mm-hmm.
my Facebook page. So I have Soul Wisdom,
Yeah.
and then there's a closed group that I've started recently since the 5-day Unbound Writing Challenge, called Soul to Soul. So I'd love anybody who's interested in a deeper connection to who they are at soul level to
Yeah.
join that group. That would be fantastic. And I'm sharing this writing process on that forum as well, which is already very exciting. So the website, Facebook page.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll
yeah.
put the links below this video so people can easily click through
Great,
and access
great.
those. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much, Angie, for having this
You,
conversation today. It's been a delight to talk to you, and
you too.
thank you for sharing your experience.
Pleasure. Yeah.
Okay, see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.